What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word? Hummingbird. Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for another review of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 2, Episode 21, Why Can't We Be Friends? Now, because of that title, I cannot get that song out of my head from the 70s. So, we are starting off with Jen. Jen has hired some movers to come and do an estimate of her home because she's going to be downsizing. She's going to be moving from a 9,000 square foot home down to a 4,500 square foot home. Her closet alone is, I don't know what she's going to do with all that stuff. I mean, because her closet is humongous. I don't know how many hundreds of pairs of shoes that she had. So good luck on that, Jen, and trying to figure out where to put all of your clothes and all of your shoes. Good luck on that, because I seriously doubt that her closet in her new space is anywhere near the size of the closet in her old space. And they gave her an estimate of about $8,000 to $10,000 to move her stuff. So this is a woman who is about to face probably some very serious financial strains, and it's going to cost her between $8,000 to $10,000 just to pack up her stuff. Okay, just to pack up her stuff. So she told the movers that she's going to try to move as much as she can on her own. I bet you will, Jen. I bet you're going to get your everybody in your family, your neighbors, your cousins, cousins. Everybody is going to come by to help you pack up and move before the movers come and do the big stuff, so you can reduce that cost. So her trial is coming up March the 7th, 2022. I just don't know how people can live life regularly with knowing that, they have a federal criminal trial looming ahead. I wouldn't even, if I was on this show, if I was Jen, I would not even be able to film. I would just be so stressed out and so distraught about this upcoming trial and these charges, and even the slight possibility of having to do any kind of time. Even if they told me it was going to be 6 months behind bars, I just don't know. Even if that was like the worst of the worst that I was facing was 6 months behind bars, I don't know how I'd be able to do it. And so for her to continue to film and just to continue to be normal, and she does have her occasional outburst and stuff when the pressure gets too much, but for the most part, she's just like living life like it's normal, and she hides her stress extremely well. She says that what keeps her up at night is thinking about all the people that depend on her, and the possibility of having to, let them down, because she's not going to be able to do that anymore. Her legal fees alone are just going to be astronomical. So because of the fact that she's facing federal charges, I guess the charges themselves are pretty serious. And also because of the fact that she's a reality TV star and they know that she's got bank. So they probably are going to, take her for all she's got, because she has the ability to pay it. So she's going to be doing, I don't know, speaking engagements, appearances, writing some books, or I don't know what she's going to be doing to pay for these legal fees. But it's about to get real serious for her real soon, if it hasn't already. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, in my heart of hearts, do I think she's actually guilty of what she's done? I haven't been reading any articles about the details of the facts or anything like that. But I kind of have a feeling that, if there's smoke, there's fire. But there's always a possibility that the charges can be completely dropped. The sentences or the punishment can be drastically reduced. So who knows? But good luck to Jen and all of that. Heather, she's doing a celebration of life for her father. She invited everybody in her family to attend, but only a select few actually appeared. And supposedly her mother also appeared at the cemetery, but was, I guess, avoiding Heather. They never met. They never saw each other. The mother came and greeted her brother, and then I guess her mother left, but she didn't actually attend the ceremony. And like I said, I didn't watch all of last season's Salt Lake City. I only watched about half, maybe a quarter. So I don't know the dynamics of what's happening with Heather's family. The gist of it, I guess, is that obviously there's people in her family who are still practicing Mormons, who really resent her for leaving the Mormon faith, and the fact that she's gone so public with it, of denouncing the the Mormon faith. And so I guess a lot of people are struggling with that in her family who are still Mormons, because she even said in her confessional that her family wouldn't have an issue with her leaving the faith. They have an issue with her being so public about it and publicly talking about all the issues that she has with that particular religion. So I guess the people that didn't show up don't really want to deal with her because she's left the church or whatever. But anyways, some of the people did show up. Of course, her daughters were there. She gave a speech, her brother gave a speech, and it was just a really nice way to remember her father, even though her mother told her that he would be turning in his grave right now, I guess, for her leaving the church. But he already knew that she had left the church because she left the church years ago. So her father was already aware of that. So I was a little bit confused on exactly when she left the church, but I got the impression that she had left the church years ago, right? I don't really remember. So moving on to Meredith. So Meredith is having a photo shoot for her jewelry brand, and she's doing a collaboration with Glad. And she had an array of beautiful LGBTQ models that appeared for her photo shoot. Everybody looked absolutely wonderful. I think it was like out in the desert or something. Meredith looked great. Her kids looked great. Her husband looked a little bit out of place. I didn't understand all of that. I don't know if he was actually in any of the pictures, but he did look severely out of place. Moving on to Lisa. So Lisa's going to be hosting a Vita party, and it's to promote her new tequila, her with the crystal laced bottle is what she described it as. And even though it's an 80s theme, she doesn't want people to come dressed like the 80s. She said that she doesn't like costume parties, she doesn't like theme parties, and that she's hoping nobody shows up looking like Madonna. So why are you having a theme 80s party? Why don't you just have a regular party and, have a particular dress code? I didn't get that. It's an 80s theme party, but you don't like theme parties, and you don't want no one to show up looking like the 80s. I was severely confused. So when Meredith shows up, Meredith and Lisa, they greet each other like nothing happened. Like, Lisa just didn't call Meredith everything but a child of God in the previous episodes, where she was just saying the worst of the worst things about Meredith, about her finances, about her husband. So yeah, they greeted each other like nothing happened. Of course, at this point, Meredith doesn't know yet what Lisa had said when Lisa thought she was off mic, and we would get to see, what goes on with that at the reunion. But yeah, Lisa greets her like she was just her BFF and like nothing happened. And so even Heather had to mention, oh, okay, so we're just going to act like nothing happened, or like there's nothing going on between the two of you. Like everything is just so hunky-dory now. And I think that's one of the things that Heather cannot stand about these group of women, is just how fake they are. Because Heather doesn't give me the impression that she's like that. If Heather has an issue with you, number one, it seems like Heather is going to try to work it out with you. And if it can't be worked out, she's going to be civil, but she's not going to act like, we don't have an issue. And Lisa does that so well, where she will cuss you out one day and then the next day act like nothing even happened and just kind of pretend like nothing is really going on. And then the whole time she's talking about you behind your back. So Mary arrived alone and in her Mary attire, I don't know if her attire, her style is like super duper couture, and that's why I'm just not getting it, because I'm definitely not that. Or if the gloves, that's what really throws me off. I could deal with everything. I'm not understanding the gloves all the time. It's very peculiar. So she arrives by herself. I don't think her husband appeared with her in any of the events. And I don't know if he appeared at any events last year, but her husband seems like someone who's just not down with the show at all. He doesn't want to participate or cooperate with anything. He never makes an appearance. I just don't get it. I don't know if it's because he's against the show or if it's because him and Mary are having issues. Her son has appeared many times, and Mary will, drop in and drop out, in a hot second, but her husband, no. Mm-mm. And then when they do film in her home, the few times that the cameras have been in her home, it's like he shows up and then I guess he realizes the cameras are there or something, and then he quickly makes an exit. So I don't get what's going on there. So she arrives, and she didn't want to have any of the Vita tequila. And I think somebody asked her, oh yeah, the producers in her confessional asked her, why didn't you have any of the Vita tequila? And she says, because it tastes like water. It's bland. It's tasteless, just like Lisa herself. I am going to miss Mary's confessional. I'm going to miss Mary, period. Mary is hilarious. Her eyes, her facial expressions, her wardrobe, her style, her quick comebacks. I am going to miss Mary so much. Now, if there was ever a housewife that I think needed a spinoff, it's Mary Cosby. She needs a spinoff because I need more of Mary. She's just hilarious to me. And she's hilarious in a way, like she's not even trying to be funny, but she's just so funny to me. Every time I'm looking at her, I'm just cracking up. So Whitney begs Mary to step away and talk to her. And Mary was just like, she wasn't trying to hear any of that. She's like, no, we have nothing to talk about. And she just kept on begging and begging and begging and begging. She begged for like a good 5 minutes until finally Mary relented. So they walk off together. And no, they didn't walk off together. They actually went to go sit on the couch amongst all the women, because whenever there's an event on Salt Lake City, I realized that no matter where they're, unless they're used in the same venue, which I'm kind of thinking they might be, I don't know, but there's always a couch that can fit all of them, and they all sit there on the couch together. I've never seen anything like that on any other housewife franchise. So they all sit there on the couch. It is Whitney and then Mary, and I think, was it Heather, and then Jenny. So Whitney, no, it was Whitney and then Mary, Jen Shaw, and then Jenny, I think. So Whitney and Mary, they're having a conversation, and Whitney is attempting to apologize to Mary. And, she's kind of having a hard time because Mary is continuously cutting her off. Mary is like, we're not going to have a conversation, and then I'm not going to be able to talk. So Mary is constantly cutting her off. But Whitney's trying to get it all out. And if it wasn't Mary trying to interrupt her, Jenny Wynn starts butting in because she's got something to say to Mary. So as Whitney is trying to apologize, Jenny Wynn says, oh, because Mary had said, Whitney had said, well, the reason why I was talking about your church and calling your church a cult and all of that was because of the things that you said about me first. And so I was just counterattacking. And then Mary was like, don't make me out to be like I'm some mean person. I'm not a mean person. And then that's when Jenny interrupted and was like, you're not a mean person, Jenny. Well, what did you say to me? What did you say to me? So Mary was looking at Jenny like, oh my God, you're a lunatic. Shut up. This has got nothing to do with you. And so then Mary tells Whitney, let's get up and go talk somewhere else. And so they get up to leave to go get away from Jenny because Jenny's not letting them talk at all. And so as they're trying to leave and walk away, Jenny gets up and she follows them. So she's trying to confront Mary. And I think Jenny was, 10 sheets to the wind by this time, because I was like, if she was in her right state of mind, I don't think she would be acting like this in front of all these people, and especially in front of her husband. So Jenny Wynn is like trying to confront Mary. She's pointing her finger in her face, and she's just like screaming at her about, what did you say about me, Mary? What did you say about me? I guess she's just trying to like prove that Mary, is a hypocrite, or she's a liar, because she claims that she's not mean, doesn't have a mean bone in her body, but she said all kinds of horrible racist things to Jenny Wynn. Now, Jenny Wynn, we know what the deal is with her. We know the what's up on Jenny Wynn, that she also has said some very problematic things in her tweets and her Facebook comments and whatnot. So it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black on that. So as Mary is trying to leave and not engage at all with Jenny gets so frustrated that she takes her glass and she actually throws it at Mary. And luckily it didn't hit her. But the glass did shatter, and then Mary was gone like the wind. She was out of there. And I think somebody was even trying to convince her to stay. And Mary was like, I'm not going to stay here. There's a psycho on the loose and she's throwing glasses at me. So Mary's gone. And in her confessional, she was like, you know what? When Jenny Wynn was throwing the glass at me, nobody came to my aid. Nobody came to check to see if I was okay. She was all by herself, basically. And she says in her confessional, it makes you really think about, who your real friends are. Yeah, none of them. None of them are your friends, Mary. And so, somebody asked Whitney, well, what were you trying to apologize for? And Whitney says, I was trying to apologize for calling her church a cult. And so Janie and Jen Shaw both were like, so it's not a cult? And because Whitney was driving this hard about it's a cult and they're worshiping her. Her congregation is worshiping her. For the majority of the season, Whitney was like writing that. I mean, she was just so, she was the one that made it seem like I've done my research. I've talked to members of her congregation and they've told me it's a cult. Like she was saying this like it was fact. So she says, yeah, I was just trying to apologize for calling her church a cult and saying that her congregation worshiped her like a god. And so Jen Shaw and Janie Wynn were like, so it's not a cult? And Whitney was like, I don't know. I don't have the facts. What? I mean, what are you doing? I mean, you were the one that brought this whole thing up. You're the one that was, constantly bringing this up every chance you got about her church being a cult and trying to convince the other women that this was true, because she never said, you know what, I don't know, but people have been saying that it's a cult, but I'm not really sure. No, she just came right out and said, people have said that her church is a cult. I mean, she said it so convincingly. And so now she's trying to backtrack and be like, well, I don't know. I don't have the facts. You never had the facts. So why would you even bring it up? If you didn't have the facts, Whitney, why bring it up? So Jen says to Meredith, all the women are gathered together at this little tiny table. And Jen says to Meredith, well, can we be friends now? And Meredith was like, no, no. I hate it when Jen Shaw is begging for Meredith's friendship. Jen Shaw, you said what you said about her son. You said what you said about her marriage, and stand in it. Stand in it. How can you go out? I mean, especially the things that you said about her son. Whatever it was, whatever your intentions were, whether you said them, whether you liked other comments that were attacking him, whatever the situation is, children should be off limits. Children, especially minor children. I don't think he's 18 yet. And if he is 18, he wasn't 18 when Jen was acting a fool out there. So children should be off limits. And Meredith has the right to decide to never talk to you again or to never be your friend ever again. You came for her child, and that's just where the line is drawn, and you can't go back on that. If Meredith ever does forgive and is going to be friends again with Jen Shaw should be, tread real carefully if she's not in jail. She should tread real carefully with Meredith, because once you come for someone's child, like, what the hell is your problem? So Meredith says, no, I can't be friends with you right now. And then Jen was like, why not? Why not? And so Meredith said, because I'm dealing with my own pain and trauma. She's still trying to cope with what was said, the attack that, all the attacks that Jen had, spewed on her family. And so, so they're going back and forth with that. Then all the other women get involved, I think. I don't really remember how that scene fell apart, but it ended up falling apart. I think somebody was like, why don't you forgive her like the way you forgave, I don't know who, Mary? I have no idea. I think that's what someone said. Why don't you forgive Jen like the way you forgave Mary? And I think Meredith, I don't remember, but it all fell apart. And people start walking away, people start leaving, going their separate ways because they're all getting frustrated. And Meredith, she grabs her husband and she's like, she's out of there. She's walking out. And she says, if these women only knew what I knew about them and the secrets that I can, expose about their extramarital affairs. So Meredith is like the gatekeeper. She's the keeper of marital affair secrets. Evidently, so many of these women, I don't know who other than Jen, are cheating on their husbands, and Meredith knows all about it. And she's going to hold that over their head, I guess. I don't know. And at one point, Jenny Wynn went to go to apologize to Lisa for throwing the glass at Mary. And Lisa was like, I don't care about that. She probably deserved it. I don't care about that. So that was the end. That was the season finale. We're doing the reunion next. I'm very much looking forward to this because I want to see what's going on with Lisa, and her hot mic incident when she was going saying all those horrible things about Meredith. I want to see about what they're going to say about Mary because Mary has left the show. I want to see what I don't know if at the reunion, if this was around the time that, I don't know if at that point, if the controversy came out about Jenny Wynn and her racist remarks. I want to know more about how Jen Shaw is dealing with her federal criminal charges coming up, and how has that affected her? How has that affected her marriage? And what's it like living in a 4,500 square foot, little shack hut of a home? So yeah, I can't wait to see that at all. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.